What is up guys? My name is Ben Hall. Thanks for checking out my channel. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing. So the next few weeks I've got a few band gigs coming up and I thought I'd mix things up a little bit, and instead of taking out the Helix, I'm going to take the JVM and I'm going to build a brand new pedal board for these few gigs. I actually have an old Pedal Train 2 that I used to use all the time with my JVM. It's already got the mounting brackets so that I can use my pedal power 2. So I'm going to use this board and this power supply. For anyone that's not ever built a pedal board before, there are 3 main stages. The first stage is deciding which pedals you're going to use and the layout of the board. The second stage is wiring up all those pedals, both power and audio. And the third stage is testing to make sure it all works and sounds good. So for step 1, I've laid out all the pedals that I might use on this board. There are a few things that I know that I won't need because I'm using the JVM. For example, I'm not going to need my Mxr boost because the JVM actually has a second master on it, so I can use that for boosting my solos. I'm also not really going to need any drive pedals because the 4 channels on the JVM should give me all the drive that I need. So the things that I do need: I'm going to need the channel switcher for the JVM. For anyone that's not used a JVM before, the foot switch that comes with it is actually programmable. So per foot switch, you actually program which channel to use, which mode on that channel to use, which master to use, whether the effects loop is on or off, and whether the reverb is on and off. So this thing is super useful. Definitely need this on the board. Next pedal that's definitely going on the board is my exotic compressor. This is a really cool compressor because not only does it do that light bit of compression sustain thing, but it also does really squashed sounds. And it also has a blend knob on it, so you can really dial in the amount of compression. Along with the compressor, I'm definitely going to use my custom Audio Electronics wah pedal. It's got dual phasals and a boost built into it, and it's just a great sounding wah pedal. I'm then going to have some kind of dirt box, maybe my tube screamer, or maybe my Tim Pierce pedal. Probably leaning more towards the tube screamer, as the Tim Pierce is more of an amp in the box kind of sound. And I'm mainly going to be using this pedal to boost whichever sound it is I'm using at the time, and the tube screamer is great for that. That's probably it for in the front of the amplifier, but in the loop, I'm going to have my Boss chorus. One of the songs that I know is in the set list is Purple Rain by Prince, so this chorus pedal should get me really close to the sound that's on that record. Also going to take my Mxr Phase 90. I haven't yet decided whether this will go in the front of the amp or into the loop of the amp. It kind of sounds great wherever you put it, so I'm going to try it in both and see which I prefer. For all my delay sounds, I'm going to take my Timeline. I really like the sound and functionality of this pedal, but it is a bit of a pain when it comes to putting it on my pedal board because the Voodoo Apps power supply that I have doesn't actually output enough milliamps to power this beast. So to get this to work on this pedal board, I'm going to have to use the power adapter that came with it. It's not a huge problem really, it just means that when I'm doing my layout, I need to leave enough room to get to this power socket. After the delay pedal, I'm going to put my Hall of Fame Mini. The JVM already has some really good sounding reverb in it, and that's what I'm going to use for probably 90% of the gig. On the Hall of Fame, I might just put like a spring reverb or a really ambient reverb or something like that, just for a bit of colour if I need it. For tuning, I'm going to take my Polytune 2. These little tuners are great because they take up virtually no space on the pedal board, and they do polyphonic tuning, which means that you can strum all the strings at once, and it'll give you a readout telling you how sharp or flat each string is. I've not 100% decided whether I'm going to run wired or wireless for these few gigs, so I'm going to see how much room I've got on the board once I've laid out everything I need, and then see if I can fit on my Line 6 relay. And the last thing that I'm going to put on the board is my Gig Rig Synco. This is just a 5-in, 5-out patch bay, and it just makes cabling a lot easier. I'll put this on the top corner of my board, and it means that all my ins and outs are going into the same area on the board. So those are all the pedals that I think I'm going to need. Let's lay it all out and see how much room I've got. So I've got my layout pretty much sorted. Not too complicated with this pedal board because there's not a huge amount of pedals that are going on it, but I have had to make some creative decisions on what I'm actually going to use because I still can't fit on everything that I wanted. For example, I haven't really got enough room to fit my wireless unit on, so I'm going to run cabled for these few gigs. I've also had to stack the tuner on top of the Synco just to save a bit of room, and it actually makes it a little bit easier to get to because it elevates it up that little bit. I was originally going to have the compressor at the top corner of the board, but it made it really hard to get to because the toe of the wah pedal is so high that it meant that I couldn't really get to the foot switch of the compressor. So I've moved that next to the Phase 90. It should be okay there. Those three pedals are a little bit close together, but the jacks on the lava cables aren't that big, so it should all fit quite nicely. The only pedal that I wish I could fit somewhere else is the Hall of Fame Mini. It's kind of wedged in between the Synco and the control board for the JVM. I can still access the foot switch easy enough, it's just not really in the best of places, but I might only use that pedal once in the whole gig, so it's fine being there. The main things that I need access to, and I'm going to use the most in the gig, are the control board for the JVM to switch channels, the tap tempo on the timeline, the tuner, and the tube screamer. And all those are in easy reach. So now that I've got it laid out and made sure that I can reach everything, it's time to do step 2, which is cable it up. So it's very rare that a pedal board will actually work 100% on its first try. I did get sound out of it, but something didn't feel quite right. I wasn't getting enough gain on the overdrive channels, and I was also getting signal dropouts. So after a load of testing, I found that I had not one, but two dodgy cables, and I also had a problem with my tube screamer. I don't actually know what it is that's wrong with this tube screamer, but I think it's something to do with the power jack because that was making a lot of noise when it was moving about. So I just decided to swap it out and put my 10-piece pedal in instead. Another thing that wasn't really working and wasn't sounding right was the Phase 90 in the loop of the amp. It was really accenting some of the bass frequencies and making it really flubby and boomy to play. So I just moved it, put it in the front of the amp, and it sounds great. So once I got those few problems sorted out, I just need to tidy the board up. It's not the tidiest pedal board I've ever made, but it only needs to get through a couple of gigs. So I just cable tied a bunch of the cables just to keep things tidy. So I've done a quick test and made sure all the sounds are working as they should be, but I can only do it on the amp's lowest setting here, so I'm going to have to wait till rehearsal next week where I can open the amp up a bit and make sure everything sounds the way it should do. Hope some of you found this video useful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up below. If you want to watch another video on my channel, just click right up here. And don't forget to subscribe, you can do it just there. See you in the next one.